Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do our March the 8th, just for today, in a meditation. Hope you're doing well this morning. The title of the meditation, Learning to Love Ourselves. What we want most is to feel good about ourselves. That comes from the basic text, page 101. We'll love you until you can learn to love yourself. These words, heard so often in our meetings, promise a day we look forward to eagerly, the day when we'll know how to love ourselves. Self-esteem. We all want this elusive quality as soon as we hear about it. Some of us seem to stumble upon it accidentally, while others embark on a course of action complete with affirmations made to our reflections in the mirror. But fix-it-yourself techniques and trendy psychological cures can only take us so far. There are some definite, practical steps we can take to show love for ourselves, whether we feel that love or not. We can take care of our personal responsibilities. We can do nice things for ourselves, as we would for a lover or a friend. We can start paying attention to our own needs. We can even pay attention to the qualities that we cherish in our friends, qualities like intelligence and humor, and look for those same qualities in ourselves. We're sure to find that we really are lovable people. And once we do that, we're well on our way. Just for today, I will do something today that helps me recognize and feel love for myself. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please, and thank you. What a beautiful meditation there, talking about learning to love ourselves. How are you doing in that ballpark? For me, I fluctuate. I love myself, yes, sure. But there's some days that I can be very hard on myself, and I'm sure you can relate. And I can be in a mind frame that, I can do better, I need to do better, or what is all this worth? I can get into negative thoughts, just like anyone else, very easily without a whole lot of effort. And I find that those thoughts affect my output. They affect what I do, if I do it, and the energy that I bring to it. But the minute I switch gears into positivity, into valuing who I am, what I've done, having gratitude. And I'm not talking about grandiosity here. I'm not talking about that at all, right? We all know grandiosity when we hear it, right? It's that person that they're just bigger than life and they have done so much for the world, right? And they cannot stop talking about it, right? I'm not talking about grandiosity. I'm not talking about that at all. I am talking about valuing oneself the way we tend to, not all the time now, we tend to value others, treating oneself as well as we treat others. Right? When I'm dealing with the children, I have a posture of nurturing that I typically, when I'm dealing with my husband, I have the same posture, typically. Right? That is something that I hold myself to in regards to how I want to treat myself. when we talk about loving ourselves, it's like a very touchy topic here, right? Not as touchy as relapse, trust me, right? But a lot of times the lack of love we have for ourselves can lead us into negative thinking. Negative thinking can lead us into negative behavior. Negative behavior can lead us back into active addiction, because what happens when a person has negative behavior, okay, let's just say they are doing things that they know that they ought not, right? They are saying things that they know are harmful, and in some cases not even true, right? Just let's say negative behavior such as lying about everything to save one's butt, right? Okay, so if we take that behavior and we wrap it up in this ball of wax in regards to being able to love ourselves, we all know that lying is not good. It's not all right. People have a tendency to look at you different when they find out that you are a person that lies, especially if you're one of those people that lies constantly about everything. Like the truth cannot slip past your lips, right? People get to the point where they're very dismissive of you. Like you could be talking and they're not even listening because they're also already in their mind knowing that you're lying. Okay, so let's just say you know the difference and you decide to lie anyway. So this is behavior that you are embarking on that you know is not okay. And then what happens oftentimes is that somebody, not everyone, some people will just tolerate you and move past you without even checking you about your lying. But there's some people that will make a point to check that lie in, right? And say that happens to you, and it happens to you in front of some other people that you've already lied to, maybe about the same thing, or you told them something else about the same thing. Now, all of a sudden, it's not just you lying, it's you being exposed to lying and dealing with shame. Probably not guilt, because I have found that people that are pathological liars, they don't have a lot of guilt about lying. They might be ashamed when they get exposed, but they don't have a lot of guilt. So now we're dealing with shame. And we all know what we as recovering addicts or as addicts, what we do with shame. Now tell me, how is that behavior of lying is not treating other people well, but how is it beneficial to you if it ends up backing you up into a corner that you probably cannot get out of, one, clean, or two, with another character defect acting out? How is that beneficial to you if it goes against the grain of you pursuing recovery on a day-to-day basis? So in essence, what I'm saying, that when I'm engaging in any behavior that promotes or lifts up or leans into my character defects, I am not exercising loving myself, because I know at the end of the day, when I get to the result of that character defect, I am going to have self-loathing. My self-esteem is going to be low. I am not going to want to engage anyone. I am going to want to do something, whether it's another behavior or is using drugs, which is also another behavior. I'm going to want to do something to create the illusion that I am not bothered by this situation. How many of us have used over stuff like that? For me, it was putting my hands on someone or my feet or cussing someone out. It was the way in which I was reckless with other people verbally. And I used it as a tool to back people up. But at the end of the day, even if I backed them up, even if I wasn't, generally, I don't remember not being successful doing it, but whenever I did it, I still had to go back home and deal with myself. I would beat myself up over it. I would hate myself because of it. You just cannot talk right to people. What is wrong with you, girl? And I would just go down this pathway of mental abuse, right? Beating myself up and put a drink on it, right? Because that's the easiest thing to do. Put a drink on it. Sometimes put a different behavior on it, right? A different drug on it. But 9 times out of 10, that was my go-to to allow me to stop abusing myself. So it seems like to me when we say 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough, with us addictive personalities, it seems like to me that this applies whether it's candy, whether it's fruit, whether it's sex, whether it's a drug, whether it is another addictive, or shall I say, unhealthy behavior, or whether it's a positive behavior. It seems like this disease of addiction can set itself down in any situation with any individual at any point in time, at any place, that we allow it to even get a foothold. 1 inch is too many, right? Because it ends up being a mile. 1 is too many. Why? Because it ends up being 1,000. So if I cuss you out one time, that means the next person just automatically almost guaranteed that they're about to get it too, right? Because now I'm on to something. I've tapped into a character defect, right? If I tell a lie one time, then that means that my mind will say, I need to tell another lie to cover up the first lie. So why start lying to begin with, Mighty Stream? Don't do it. Watch your words when you're talking to people. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't inflect too much energy, because the minute you start picking up energy or you try to match their energy, Mighty Stream, you're going to go overboard, because you are going to make sure that they understand under no uncertain terms are they to even approach you again in that manner. You're going to make sure of that, right? So why even start it? If I can't be diplomatic in the way that I approach people, use diplomacy, right? If I cannot do that, why even get started? Know when to walk away. So I am saying that our loving ourselves and learning how to do that, it is a process, but it begins with us acknowledging that we have not been doing it. There's nothing about active addiction that was loving ourselves. Will you do it perfectly? Absolutely not. And everyone will find that loving themselves is different. Some people will want to do fix-it-yourself techniques and use trendy psychological cures. Some people will feel safe in that, because I believe those individuals, they probably enjoy nature. They probably enjoy health and fitness. They probably enjoy, discussions on an academic level. They're aware of people that have doctorates, or they will kind of appreciate knowledge, right? Information. They may lean into that, but that may not be you. Maybe you're a person that you lean so heavily into your faith, and your faith tells you to be humble at all costs. And so the thought or the conversation of you loving yourself seems almost to be in direct opposition to being humble. Let me tell you something. I've been there too, where I had so much religion in my head that the thought of doing anything that didn't benefit another human being was beyond me. Everything I did had to have a benefit for someone else. And when it came to myself, I did absolutely nothing to take care of myself, because I thought that was prideful. All right, come on now. This is a spiritual program, not a religious one. And so in the sense of spirituality, it's very difficult to allow yourself to pour out of a reserve, right? A reservoir, rather, of all that positivity and not somehow continue to replenish it. In other words, what I have just said, it's hard to truly, authentically, and consistently love others when you are not taking good care of yourself. Because people like ourselves, when we hit empty, we switch into survival mode. And survival mode means that somebody is going to get their feelings hurt 9 times out of 10, or some responsibility that we agreed to is about to be undone. We're not going to fulfill it because we've been stretched too far and too thin. This is why we want to start talking about practicing loving ourselves. Or maybe for you, you need to say, practice caring for myself better. We have to practice that. Because by the time you get into the 12th step and we're carrying this message as a result of applying these spiritual principles in all of our affairs, we try to carry the message to the addict, right? And so in order to actually be able to do that, self-care is something that we must do. Because the point is that we're not using drugs today. So when I overtax my body and my mind, and I don't have a solution to bring me back to balance, I go into places where I said I would never go. Yeah. To create the illusion of self-care. And we don't need to have an illusion of self-care. We just need to have self-care. And the only way we're going to get that is by doing it and practicing it. Today, do something that helps you to recognize and feel love for yourself. If you don't do anything else, like I said, have a beautiful day and have a beautiful day on purpose because you deserve it. And if you don't do it, nobody else is going to. Let's get off of that soapbox, right? That we just do service work for everything and everyone, and we don't do anything to be of service to ourselves. You have to operate from a positive place, right? You have to operate from a place of having spiritual principles and love within in order to properly go outside of ourselves and give it to others. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today, and I hope that you will be talking about loving yourself today and what you can do better about that, okay? Have a beautiful day.